Coming to you from the Oddball Podcast Studios in New York City. My name is Vin Forte, and you're listening to Oddball with Vin Forte. Go follow the show over on Twitter at Oddball Podcast. Follow me on Twitter at Mighty Vin. Follow me over on Instagram at Vin Forte NYC. Why am I rushing today? Because we got a great guest. That's why. I don't want to dilly-dally, jibber-jab, waste more time than I already have. I don't know why. That did not mean that to rhyme, but it did. But the one thing I will plug, if you're only listening to the pod, youtube.com/@Oddball Podcast. Go do that. But I'm going to bring this man in right now. Get him up on screen. Mr. Mega Ran himself.
Yo. What's up, Vin?
What's going on? I know you are on a big tour right now, promoting this little jam right here, Buddy's Magic Toy Box, which is a children's album, which I know some people might be like, oh, a children's album. What's going on here? They may look at it a little sideways, a little funny, because children's albums traditionally have not been, the coolest thing to do. But I think in the past, I would even say 20 years, I think that perception's changed a lot. You see a lot of artists that have come out of children. I think off the top of my head, like They Might Be Giants, who have been able to seamlessly go in between making albums for adults and albums for children. And I'm curious what that process was like for you, because in listening to a lot of the songs on the album, the themes are for children, but it's really for everyone. Like, it's not like you're not talking down to children. I think that's the main key and the main takeaway.
Thank you for saying that. That was so important to me. I spent several sessions in the studio just not doing anything, but just kind of talking this over, kind of with myself, my engineer, producers, being like, it can't be corny. We can't talk down to kids. We can't go high and mighty pretentious. We got to kind of capture the innocence and fun of youth. Try to maybe slip a little bit of knowledge into it, but the most important ingredient is fun. And so I had so much fun making these records, but it literally took a month of just brainstorming, kind of like maybe just a bit of like hypnotism, maybe knocking myself out of my old ways a little bit, just to be like, this has got to be fun. I was like, as a rapper, you're always trying to say the most cool thing. You're supposed to flip slang in the most interesting ways. You flip phrases.
The kid don't care though.
Kids don't care about that. A kid's not gonna be like, oh man, those metaphors, the double entendres. Oh my god, like
he slipped that subliminal in there. It's references this thing. Like, kids aren't gonna go like that.
They are not gonna do that. So I had to really like retrain myself a little bit with my writing style, which is gonna be interesting because I imagine I'll be jumping back and forth kind of in a way similar to. I'm glad you mentioned the GOATs. They Might Be Giants, because I do want to continue to, make music as I did it in a traditional way. But even my traditional stuff's been pretty untraditional. So I'm really like looking forward to being able to bounce back and forth. But it will take a training process to kind of get myself back to, thinking in a different way, like lyrically and production wise. But my most important ingredient was fun. I said, if these records didn't make me smile, they didn't make the cut, So that's really what it took for me to create this record. And I'm super proud of it, man. Like, this is a record I never thought I saw myself making, but, due to some new changes and additions into my life, which I'll talk about, I'm sure we'll chat about at some point. It's been the new direction for me. And it's like fatherhood is challenging, but it's fun. And I just want to be able to leave something in my catalog for, potential parents, for kids at heart to be able to vibe to. And also, might be like, these are actually kind of some bangers, that's what I was hoping for.
Well, a track like Gimme the Fruit, it's like, come on, like that could easily be Gimme the Loot. That could easily be about something completely different. So I think, a child listens to that. They're not necessarily getting the reference, but it's a fun song. And I think adults, if they listen to it, because I think the one thing people forget is that the child's listening to it, but the adults are listening to it along with them because they're not just going to let the kid go off, sight unseen, listening to anything. So it's got to be appealing to the parent too, because especially with kids, oh, what do you want to listen to today? I want to listen to the same song I've heard every day and every
Yeah,
hour of every day for the past 9 months. Like that's what I want to
absolutely.
listen to. So
That's
give me
that's
so
my kid. Yeah.
yeah, so like Give Me the Fruit is a great example of that. And I want to jump right into you mentioned the inspiration for this album, obviously, Buddy's Magic Toy Box, that's the nickname that you give to your son. Um Again, I don't know how far you want to get into this, but you've made it known through social media that your son was part of the foster child system. And I
Yeah.
think there's a lot of misconceptions about the foster system right now, and have been for a long time. It's one of those things that if you're not involved in it, people just kind of see what they see on like sitcoms and TV shows, and they kind of don't really know what it's really about or what the process is like. So I'd like you to expand a little bit, if you can, on what that process was like for you and your partner.
Oh man, absolutely. Yeah, you're right. Like people see it one way from TV and movies, and it's all rosy, and it's of course but it's there's a challenge, and there's challenges and layers that I never saw coming. So for us, the kind of during pandemic, my wife and I decided, we would look into the fostering, stuff. And so, just thinking like, there's a lot of kids out there that could use a home. Um, and so we talked with an agency that was going to connect us, with the state and be kind of a liaison. And they were awesome. But like they also gave us like a lot of the real before we even signed up. They're like, hey, the person we spoke with was like, I've been a foster parent for 10 years. I've had 42 placements come through my house, some for a day, some for a month, some for a year. Like, it's not easy, and it never gets any easier. But you got to somehow keep in the back of your mind that no matter how long they're with you, the goal is for you to give them consistency and love, and it might be for a season, or it could be for life. And that was really difficult to hear, and it almost like got us, apprehensive right out the gate. We are just like, I don't know about that, but through a lot of talks, we were like, okay, let's go for it. And we do about 8 weeks of training. You do home visits. You do all these different things to get your place ready for a potential placement that you don't know is coming or when it's coming. They let you do some choosing as far as like what age you're comfortable with, what level of functionality or trauma you might be comfortable with, and then you're in the system. You are a number waiting to get plucked. And one day we got our call, and the first placement was not permanent. It was we met him. I was on tour, and my wife and we got a call, and we're like, you know what, this little baby needs help. Let's do it. We take the baby, and he was gone in a week, and that was extremely traumatic, for myself and my wife. And my wife's like, I don't think we can do this. And so grand opening, grand closing, shut us down. Like we can't do it, And she's like, well, at least you got to be home. Like if this is going to happen again, you got to be here. So that's when I start thinking about maybe touring less and how that's going to affect my life. And I was home. And so we jumped back in 2 months later, and it was just perfect timing. I mean, a few days after we are back in the system, they call us saying they have this 3-week-old baby who was just coming out of the like children's like kind of rehab unit because he had been exposed to substances, and they asked if we would be willing to take him. And I look at my wife, she looks at me, and we're like, absolutely. Like, who's gonna say no to this lovely, beautiful baby? And so they're like, all right. And they come to your house that night and they drop them off. Like, here you go. Here's a bottle. Here's like 6 diapers. And call us if you need us. But that's you. And but then they also say like nothing's final until it's final. So keep that in mind. So we go from zero to baby in 100 miles an hour. We're just like, here we are. We got a baby. And you don't get that time, where like you got that 9 months, you get to read those books, what to expect when expecting, all those things. You don't get that. You get some great training. But when it comes to a baby, they told us that it's very unlikely that you get a baby. They're like, everybody wants a baby. Get in line. It's not going to happen. Everybody wants a cute little baby. I just didn't want a 14-year-old coming in my house, knocking my stuff down and telling me that I'm
I'm
not
the
their
man of the
dad.
house now.
It's my house. Your stuff. So I was like, I don't think I can handle that on my first placement. So let's go young. And then we got really young, and they were like, yeah, well, good luck. You might be waiting a long time. And we're like, yeah, that's fine. And then we did not have to wait long. And he came to our lives, and it was on. I was up all night, feeding every 2 or 3 hours. I watched a lot of TV in that time because I didn't get any sleep. So I completed like every series I was into at that time, and then some. But man, it just instantly like snapped us into parent mode. And there's a lot of times where we didn't really know what we were doing. We're like, oh man, we're getting books, we're learning as we go, talking to parents that are friends. Um, but it just like it immediately snapped in. I have to thank my partner for sure, because she just immediately adjusted and has been a phenomenal mother. So um, so yeah, it's been a ride for sure. But one I don't regret at all.
Have you had that moment where, because I hear this from a lot of parents, where, when we look up to our parents, we see them as these infallible people where every move they made until we were like teenagers or whatever, like was like the right move. Like, oh, well, don't, like, dad knows best, mom knows best. But when now you're in that situation, I think, people
Mm.
tend to learn very quickly that yes, your intentions always have to be pure. You always have to come at it with love. But there are some days where people just have to throw their hands up and be like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yes, absolutely. And those are the times where you just got to reach out. You got to call some friends. We got, great godparents, and just call up the homies like, hey, man, like, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Like, I'm trying everything and nothing's working out. Like, what's happening here? And they convinced me that everybody goes through this. And that's really what I needed to hear. It's like, man, this is
Right.
this is not just you. Like, any parent has done this, and has that moment. And it's really relieving to know like you're not alone in that situation. Parenting's not easy. You could do everything you think is right, and things just still feel so wrong sometimes. But yeah, it's an ever like progressing journey that kind of never stops. And so you pick up things, you learn things, you discard things, and it makes you and the family better in the long run.
Yeah, and I again, personal life is personal life. We always see what you want to put out there on social media, but from what we're seeing, and what you're putting out there, it's really heartwarming to see that you're especially active in his life, that you enjoy spending time with him. I know that sounds like a given to a
Hmm.
lot of people, but I've seen in my own life, in my own family, in friends' families growing up, like there were parents that it's like, hey, they'll get the job done, but they're going to be, very cold, put on like a very firm front, not be, always have that gap between them and their kid, where it's like, I get it, like you're a parent, like there should be a line, like you're not there to necessarily be their friend 100% of the time. You need to be sometimes the authority figure. But there
Yeah.
are a lot of parents out there that you know feel like they're, I guess the best way to put it, and maybe this is unfair, is they feel like their child can sometimes be a hindrance in their life, in them
Mm,
doing certain things, as
mm.
opposed to no, 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 like this is my son, I love him, I'm going to bring him into the things I like, and I'm going to get involved in the things that he likes.
Yeah, absolutely. I never understood that. A parent thinking like, oh, this is going to stop me from doing what I want to do. It's like, find a way to involve them in what you
Yeah.
do. You know what I mean? If you like, music, you like going to concerts, then give them some headphones and bring them to a concert. You know, yeah, I look forward to that. That's the first thing my wife and I, as music lovers, always think like, man, can't wait till we can bring them to festivals. Can't wait till we can do all these cool things and show them the music we love and all the sports we love and everything else. So I really get excited about that. I don't think it like hinders anything at all. It's just the opposite for me.
Again, as someone who's seen a lot of the opposite of that, I love to hear
Mm.
it. And we're gonna transition now. You mentioned get him into music, sports. Speaking of sports, so it's a sports podcast, but obviously I wanted to get all of this stuff up front so that people, for whatever reason, tune out later on. They only catch like the first part. This is the part that I would want them to hear if they have to only listen to one part. So
Mm.
I want to move on a little bit to sports, but I mean, if people for whatever reason don't, you don't have a kid, you're not going to pick up the children's album. Pick up this album. This is a good choice. Live '95,
Hey.
one of my favorites. This photo shoot is incredible, by the way. Doing the what is it, the '90s? Even though it's '95, it's what the '96 rookie
That's
class.
that was 96. I mean, you can't tell, but my suit is down to my knees. My suit jacket is crazy baggy. The
Yeah,
pants are also
traditional big rookie
flooding down the
NBA
bottom.
suit.
Man, yeah, 96 draft was a moment, dude. Um, but yeah, as a huge basketball fan for sure, growing up in Philly, in the 90s, like basketball became, everyone's way of life, particularly with like I always think like Philly's always had those larger than life figures in sports that have transcended, from Charles
Oh,
Barkley to Allen Iverson.
I was gonna say you were prime time for both of those men.
Yeah, you had both of them. You had Randall Cunningham, so we were just really lucky to have these really like huge figures that like made us, have to watch every single play because they were just so, electrifying.
Now, Live '95, were you? Because it's a great title for an album, but were you in fact a big fan of the Live '95 game, or were you more of an NBA Jam person?
Oh man, I like them both, but Live 95 was it was to me it changed the game because like they kept real stats and things, like I was a stat hog, so I'd be like, oh man, they count the rebounds, they count this, they count the assists, and you can see your points per game averages throughout a couple games, and I really love that about it. Live 95 changed the game. We played that on the block like all summer. I can remember a particular summer just getting down. Like I believe it was, I don't know if it was 95 or 96, but the Houston Rockets were pretty unstoppable on one of those games. You could put in a lineup where everybody could shoot threes, and it was just so unfair.
I wish EA would just how much money could it take for them to just like do an updated version of that style of game, bundle it in with the,
Ah,
or I guess because I guess they don't own it, the 2K would own it, but like 2K do something like that.
you
Put
could
out they put
oh
out all
so
these deluxe editions. Just throw a 16-bit game in there with it. I'll pay the DLC. I'll
I
do
I absolutely I would pay.
the microtransactions, like whatever you want. I'll pay for.
That doesn't seem like it would be too hard. Like, you have the game. All you're doing is just replacing the roster names, like, and the stats, updating a little bit. But that doesn't seem too hard. Yeah.
No, because there've been a couple indie developers that have come out with basketball games in the past couple of years, but it's like they got to work around not having the teams. They got to work like
Yeah.
someone get the license, and I feel like Batista, like just give me what I want, like give it to me.
Give me what I want. Yeah, I mean, it seems like they try an NBA Jam style game, and I do love NBA Jam. Much love the NBA Jam. We actually had the announcer from NBA Jam do the voicemail
Yeah,
intro for the album. So NBA Jam was probably equally as important to basketball culture, and gaming and bringing us all together. So I loved it. I love them both. But it seems like they try to do a street ball type style game, 2-on-2, 3-on-3, every year, and it doesn't quite maybe hit. Um, but I don't know. They try. but no one wants to
They
just literally just clone the old engine and just make the game we
well,
want.
well, you know what it is because they force it into the 2K experience.
Hmm.
And I think that's what
Hmm.
could get my big bugaboo with the 2K games. And even when I was looking at the new one, the thing they were touting was like, oh, the My City mode is like bigger than ever. It's like I don't care about the city. I don't care about like having my rap career, like the shoe deals, like Jake from State Farm showing up. Like I don't need.
I don't care about any of that. Yeah.
I just
Like,
want to
oh, look
hoop.
at, yeah, I just want to hoop. It's like, oh, you can you can get on a scooter to go between your destinations now. It's
Yeah,
like,
like
what? What? What?
what?
I just want to play ball. Like, what? Yeah, all the extra stuff. Man, I tried it because I just started the last 2K game like super late, but I get them when they're cheap now. I
Yeah,
wait a few months and they're cheap. And every achievement that to unlock in the game is involving that My City mode. So you got to
yeah.
get in the mode, talk to 25 people, get 10 Gatorade sponsorships, and it's like make a cut, get a custom shoe. You know, it's like so many things that are involved that are in that mode, and I'm like, I just want to play ball. Like, it's I don't I get it, but that has I think we have GTA to thank for that, do we? Or The Sims,
Yeah,
I guess. I mean,
yeah.
yeah, that's like everybody wants a little bit of GTA in their game, and it's like not basketball. Like,
Well, again, look what they tout. Remember, like for a couple of years, they were like, "This the new 2K game is officially a Spike Lee joint." It's like, okay, cool. Like, I didn't need him to write a movie for the for the career mode. Like,
I
I
mean,
just
to
want to
be
play
to be
basketball.
fair, I mean, you see those graphics. They've gotten this game to a point where it's the most realistic looking thing ever. Like,
Oh yeah,
you can't improve on it. So now I think they're just like, all right, we got to add something. Like, we what else can you do? I can't think of one like mode that would be make me be like, okay, this is the one now. Like
right.
I don't know, like you get to call LeBron James for advice. Like I don't,
Yeah,
you get
yeah, yo,
LeBron's
King, what's going on? Like,
you get Bron's phone number when you download the game. I don't know. Like there's nothing else. And you think about like that player mode. It's like we've never had that kind of access to an actual player. So that's
no,
not even like realistic. Like here's what Kevin Durant does when he leaves the building. Like what? Like
yeah, they're like, like it's like, okay, what do I gotta do now? Are we playing the Rockets tomorrow? We got the Magic coming up. No, you gotta go meet Kevin Durant to record his podcast. Great.
I kind of had the same feeling about the WWE 2K game. I was like, this is too much inside baseball. Like they're like, yo, you got to get over with Triple H before he can book you in the match. Like,
It's
what do
like
you
get
mean get
over.
over? What are you talking about? I'm not supposed to know what this stuff means. Like, if you don't have a 4-star match and lose, like it'll be like that.
Yeah, like there's a scene where someone's reading the Observer, like, oh man, Meltzer only gave me 3 stars. Oh well, you can't fight Oscar then. Like,
It's like a little too much inside baseball. Like I get that every day I get on Twitter. Like I don't necessarily need that when
yeah,
I'm
you don't need that.
playing
You
the
don't need that
game.
elsewhere. But
So now they're like,
but
yo, if Kendrick Perkins doesn't like you and on his podcast, then you're not gonna get in the starting lineup. So take Kendrick Perkins out to dinner.
yeah, like like your agent calls up and is like, "Oh man, Big Perk is angry at you." What? Do I got to play him in a game? No, he was on ESPN this morning. He's like, "Don't call me." Like,
Oh my gosh, man. Too much.
but speaking of too much,
Hmm.
uh, it's time to play Ask a Philly Native about James Harden. Um, what is going on? It's been a couple weeks now.
It's been a little quiet over there, I think, right?
They've been a
Since
little quiet. You think maybe they're like trying to smooth things over and like, okay, James,
yeah, no news, no outbursts is good news. I would assume they're working on things right now. Like,
yeah,
I think he's gonna come back, but like at this point, I don't really need him back. Like, hey man, you don't want to be here, it's fine. Like, go do what you gotta do. This has been a never-ending saga with Philly. Like we see this a lot, man, with our
Right.
guys. So,
Ben
uh,
Simmons and
it's like, do you want to be here or not? Like, I think, man, I got friends who are like completely off the bandwagon. They're like, yo, process over. This is this is it. Like, if it was kind of last year a bust for a lot of fans,
Mhm.
and we didn't get it done. So it's like it's I think it's only kind of downhill from here. Like we're just hoping for a second round of the playoffs every year, which is like
not where
nothing to
you
hope for.
yeah, the process was not supposed to be that. And
No, no, it was not. Man, I blame Kawhi. I blame that
well,
shot from the.
speaking of Kawhi, you just fell right headfirst into a segue, my man,
Oh wow.
because Kawhi Leonard kind of kicked off the whole load management thing. And this week, Adam Silver and the Players Association have come out and they have new load management rules for this year, where essentially, if you have you cannot bench more than one superstar for load management,
Mm.
which I think sounds good, but I don't know how in the world you enforce that with players being like you call the doctor out and be like, oh well,
Yeah.
this guy's back is aching, so like, can we bench him? Should we not bench
Is
him?
he
What's the
tired? Oh, let's check his heart rate and see if is he really tired? Like, is he
yeah
fatigued?
like
How can you figure that out in the midst of a game? I mean, I guess you got to do something. The fans deserve the
right
best product being out there. Like I'll never forget, man. Kobe, rest in peace. Kobe's final season. I was in Miami for part of my. I guess it was part of our honeymoon, and we're like, man, this is our chance to see Kobe live. He was playing. They're playing the Heat, and we're just like, let's get some tickets. Let's get some good tickets. And we get the tickets for the Miami
yeah
game. And day of, Kobe's a DNP. No reason why. Just because. And I'm just like, oh man, like like now I'm so disappointed. Like we should get a refund for that or something, a coupon. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like I feel like something has to be done for that. And so if this is, going to be in the back of a coach's mind to be like, well, I can't bench. And how do you determine a superstar? What are you going to check their 2K rating?
Well, to be fair, they did put out rules for that where an all-star to them in this case is defined as someone who's been on an all-star team within the past 3 years.
Okay, that's fair.
So it's like, okay, that I like. So it's like, okay, you at least have it well defined. Now, are you actually going to enforce it? Because there may be coaches who are going to be super strict about it, and okay, like, especially with a lot more superstars teaming up now.
Hmm.
Last year they made the change to the cap where you can't.
Hmm.
They basically made it so that you can't go out and get more than like two superstars for your team. And now they're doing this, so I think they're trying to make a lot of they're trying to do the thing that MLB did last year,
Hmm.
where it's a lot of little changes that maybe people look at and go like, is this really going to do anything? But you add it all up, and it's like, okay, maybe it does something.
Maybe. Yeah, I appreciate them trying something because, I will say the NBA is probably the most like fan driven and fan friendly league for the most part. So if this is a real issue for people who are watching it, then I appreciate them trying to do something. So yeah, I don't know how well this is gonna go, but okay. So I'm guessing coaches or franchises will get fined for breaking this. Is that how
Yeah,
it goes?
yeah. They're gonna get fined. I don't know offhand how much, but players I think could lose time if they end up load. But again, like I don't know how you enforce any of this because if you want to be like a preening James Harden type and wear fat suits and do all this finagling to get out of playing, it's like nothing's gonna really stop you.
No, no. It's exactly. If you just don't want to play and don't want to be there, you'll find a way. Stub your toe on the way in to work. Just like well, sorry, can't play.
But a couple people who said they do want to play
Mm.
is LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry this week. The real big basketball story
Mm.
was that Team USA at the FIBA World Cup didn't even medal. So people were looking at that and going, "Is this sort of a harbinger of things to come for the Olympics?"
Mm.
And now we're hearing reports that, according to Brian Windhorst, LeBron James has been calling guys up, basically doing the Avengers thing, like, "Hey, let's all commit to the team." And on one hand, I'm like, okay, that's cool that he wants to get the best of the best together to commit. But at the same time, there's a part of me that's like, no, this was and is the team now. Like, yeah, you're going to add a few more big pieces when the Olympics come around, but it
Mm.
feels like they're looking at these young guys and went, okay, like you guys couldn't get it done, so now like we got to come in suited and booted and show you how it's really done. And it's like I don't know if that helps us. I don't, especially because you would have a lot of older stars on that team. I think they would still be the best. I'd still root for them. But I think
Mm.
like there comes a time where, yeah, you put a couple guys on that team, but I don't know. It feels like the team we had for the FIBA World Cup, a lot of those guys should still be the leaders on, sort of this new era of USA basketball.
Now, I agree, but question for you, Ben. Do you think that that team that they'd assembled, did you think that that team was going to medal, like do like well?
No, because I think two things. I think that they needed a couple veterans on that team. That team basically just had like no veteran, no big men on
Yeah.
the team.
Hmm.
And I think the rest of the world, as much as we don't want to admit it, is catching up. You look at some of the best players in the NBA. Yeah,
Yeah.
the NBA is the best league, but who are the best players in the league right now? Well, we only have to look at the team that won this past year, and to say, well, it's Jokic, it's Luca, it's
Hmm.
Giannis, it's guys that Embiid, although he's got dual citizenship, so they're going to try and recruit him. But these are all guys that aren't American. They weren't born here, so they can't be
Yeah.
on Team USA.
Hmm. So they've caught up with us, you know. So what happens if LeBron's Avengers come in and they still lose? You know, I feel like that's a possibility. I mean, I would love to have better leadership on that squad, but like they really have caught up with us in basketball, like at this point. So, you know, I don't know if this is the answer. And all you're doing is risking, you know, injury to veteran guys who are coming out trying to prove something, you know, to redeem the redeem team. You know, we already did the doc. We redeemed, you know. It's like, you know, what do we do from here? It's like I get it, but I think just telling all these kids to be like, sit down, you couldn't get it done, is like totally against what the Olympics is about, you know. So
Doesn't the Olympics have like a whole code where it's like inclusion? Like,
I mean, these people were chosen as players that could represent their country, and now it's
right.
like, nah, sorry. Like, my bad. You couldn't win, so we changed our mind. Like, it's it's really messed up. But like, hey, it's America. We don't take losing well, I guess. And I'd watch, like you said, I'd root all day for this team, you know. But yes, I think you could add a few key pieces. You could add some size, add some veteran leadership, and retool this team, and in the process, make some of these young players better, you know, instead of just kind
Like
of casting them out.
yeah, like they're talking about like, yeah, we're gonna get Steph, we're gonna get Draymond in there. Does Draymond need to be on the new USA basketball team? I don't know if he does.
I don't know. It's yeah. I mean, I'd watch, but
Yeah,
again, like that's not the answer at all. So I really hope they kind of reconsider. Like bring LeBron as like a special, you know, consultant or something, you know, or put
yeah,
him put him at the end of the bench, you know, like
yeah.
just
That'd be
to
like the Larry Bird role on the
yeah.
Dream Team.
I wouldn't mind that at all. Give him the end of the bench, kind of a extra coach out there to help these guys.
Yeah, and again, we're moving quickly along. I know you've got a show later tonight, and I don't want to take up too much of your time. But as a fellow wrestling fan, I want to bring this item to your attention. Luka Doncic will be doing a charity 3-on-3 tournament on a court on a lake in Slovenia to promote his shoe and a couple of his other ventures. And it kind of got me thinking, like, where would you want to see a NBA game if they did like baseball does with the Field of Dreams game, where it's like, hey, we're just gonna pick a location from a movie and do it there. Like if you could pick like a gimmick game, what would it
Oh,
be? Because I know what mine would be. Mine would be like do a street ball game,
I was
like
about
go
to
to
say
Rucker
the
Park, do
Rucker
something
is
like
the
that.
only. Yeah, the Rucker is really the only answer. Like bringing the. Oh my God! I just man, I got like a chill just thinking about that. Like
People
imagine
sitting
an
on
NBA.
rooftops, just packed streets. Are you kidding me?
Man, that would be nuts. Like I would love to see that. I think even like I mean, if you couldn't do it like a tour where you're like, all right, we're gonna do a Philly court, a New York court,
Right.
somewhere else, like just the Rucker, man, like that is the essence of street ball, and so much culture is there. It's like bringing an NBA All Star event there would just, oh my gosh, that would be incredible. Like I would, man, I'd have to get a ticket to that somehow because that would be epic. That's really the only place. I mean, off on a lake somewhere sounds cool.
It sounds cool until you actually have to watch it, and you're just like, okay, cool.
Yeah, until you're like diving for loose balls and you got to really think about it. Like,
And like, where are
wait a
people going
minute.
to watch this live? Are they going to have like floating stands or like helicopters filming it? Like, what's the deal with
Uh,
this lake?
I don't know. Yeah, I got more questions. I hope Luca asks a lot of questions before he signs up. 'Cause,
He's
yeah,
just like,
this is,
yeah, let's do it. Call my people, we'll do it.
yeah, that looks wild. I mean, that looks like something from a 2K game for sure. Like they just decided to make real.
But
But you know what though? What about all right? I think I guess
yeah,
outdoor is a little bit kind of risky because you don't know what what the weather's going to be like or whatever. But what if you could do like I don't know the equivalent of like a Field of Dreams and you just build a court in like the Midwest in a cornfield or something?
but see, that's what I've thought of in the past. But again, when it comes back to basketball, it's like, what would that mean? Like, okay,
Yeah, it
you
doesn't
built the
doesn't
court,
have a whole lot of
it would
meaning.
have to be the ruck. Like even with the MLB, I would kill if they did a yearly like wiffle ball style game where they just
That would be
closed
dope.
off like a stretch of New York. It was
Mm,
just like we're getting for the next 4 hours, we're doing it. Watch it, watch your windows, make sure everything's boarded up because we're
yeah.
hitting some dingers.
Or you do, yeah, that would be dope. I'd love that. Or you do it Naismith style. You get a peach basket, and you just you
Oh, like
just set
a
it up.
old school game.
You go old school. Yeah, how about that? Or you get crates. You do full crate like we used to do on my
Ooh.
block growing up. That would be fun. Imagine Steph Curry shooting on a crate. Like man.
Oh, the Kevin Harlan goes, Steph Curry has just destroyed the crate. Like,
He's a crate monster magician.
Steph Curry just sucked the crate out of the arena. Like,
I think that'd be cool. You set up either a crate or a peach basket. You have like the Naismith tournament where you just do it old school. That'd be fun.
yeah, well, we will see. I'll send that letter off to Adam Silver and
Yeah, tell him,
figure it
tell him
out.
to holler at me. I'll play halftime of that. I'll play at halftime.
But Raheem, thank you so much for taking some time out. Before we wrap up, as it says on the screen, if you're watching on YouTube, buy the stuff.
Hmm.
www.megaran.com. Buddy's Magic Toy Box is the new album. If you're not a child or you don't have a child, Live 95 is the recommendation for me. But let people know where they can find you. What's going on? Sell the soap, as Amelia
Uh,
likes to say.
Thank you. I'm in Philly tonight. I'm not sure when this is going to air, but then I'll be running around New York for a little bit. Just got a couple of meetings. Then I'm going home. I'll be out west for a bit, hanging out, going to SmackDown Friday. Looking forward to that.
Ooh.
And yeah, just going to be everywhere. So megaran.com or on the Instagram or the X, you can find your boy and keep up. And so yeah, I'm doing a ton of promotion projects and performances for this album. But don't worry, like I mix them all up. I play the old, I play the new. I work them in. I'll do some freestyling, and it's a really connected package of fun stuff for all ages. So if you see me around in your town, think about coming out.
There you go. Go to the show. Let them know what your favorite fruit is. And,
Bring your favorite fruit.
Bring your favorite fruit. Don't throw it, but bring it.
Don't throw it. Just bring it for me.
Don't do that. Unless you want to get up to the front row, hand it off.
Yes.
Like, you look like you've been working hard tonight. You could use some potassium. Here's a banana. Here's some grapes. A nice apple. Like,
that's a great habit to start. I should really start pushing that. Bring your favorite fruit and hand it to me during the show.
It's like what Brian Wilson used to do with the Beach Boys, where he had that song about vegetables. You'd be like, write in and tell me your favorite vegetable. But he was also high on God knows what, so that was a whole other thing. But with all that said, if you want to follow me, like I said at the top of the episode, youtube.com/@Oddball Podcast is the best place to go. Second best place to go. Apple, Spotify, Stitcher. Well, don't go to Stitcher. They just went bankrupt. You're not going to find any podcasts there. But you know where to get your podcast from because you're listening to one right now. And with all that said, I will see you back here. Same time, same place. I want to thank Mega Ran for being on this week. Taking some time out. He's got a busy schedule. But like I said, I'll see you same time, same place next week. Bye-bye.